Okay, you guys, let's do this. It's going to be so professional. Like, so professional. Here we go. Welcome to the Live Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson, a couple of clean comedians who support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. I hope you're ready. Get set. Let's go. Since podcasts have a catchy tune, we wrote this song for Michele and June. Clean comedians are best friends too. Oh, it's so good. And you never know what they'll say or do. Here we go, sing with me on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. We'll have a ball, with June, who's really tall. They have fun, interviewing comedians on Live Support, with Michele, who's really short. Now it's time to start Live Support.
The Live Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Wow, give yourself a round of applause. Welcome to the Live Support Podcast. I'm your host, June Colson, here with Michele with 1L VanDusen. We are both wearing green because Michele pointed out to me that it's St. Patrick's Day, even though this won't be released until afterwards. So even if I wasn't wearing green, they couldn't pinch me, Michele. They could not pinch me.
That's right. That's right. Now, you do know, though, in 2 days, on the 19th is St. Joseph's Day, and you're supposed to be wearing red on that day. Just a little FYI for you.
Listen, I can't keep up with all that. But you know, when I worked in the elementary school, my favorite 2 weeks was Colors Week for the kindergartners. So everyone in the building, we were kindergarten all the way through 6th grade, and they would send out a schedule, and everyone in the building had was supposed to wear whatever the color the kids were learning that day. So 780 students, and the kindergartners, everyone they passed in the hallway would be wearing the color red on red day and blue on blue day. And I was like, man, I wish like that made my life so less complicated with my attention deficit. Like, it's blue day. So I walked in and went, oh, I'm wearing something blue. And I just got dressed and left. And then green day, I'm wearing something. Oh, Green Day, like the band. Do you like their music, Michele? You don't even know them, do you?
I've heard of Green Day. I also know that there's a blue oyster something, right?
Blue Oyster Cult. So now you're going to cults? You were getting dirty.
Wait.
Cult,
Hang on.
like a horsey cult. You understand? It's a cult, Michele.
No. So they played the Chicago Fest one year, and they were labeled BOC, right? Well, okay, let me back that up for a minute. It said BOC, so everybody piled in to go watch them. My siblings, not me, because if it wasn't Anne Murray, I wasn't going. So yes. they all, they got there early. They're up like in the front row. They're holding all their seats for their friends. They're having a great time. And the band comes out and they start, singing, and everybody's like, woo, the whole audience is with them. They're like, wow, thank you so much for coming out to see the Band of Chicago. 95% of that crowd left because it wasn't the Blue Oyster Cult group.
Oh my gosh.
So
that happens to
you
me
mentioned
all
blue,
the time.
And that's where I went. I'm sorry. But yeah, having Green Day would be great, having Blue Day and Red Day. But I'm curious, when they have the Colors Week, is that when you identify which children are colorblind?
Ooh, potentially. I would think they could.
Right?
I don't know. Wasn't my job. Well, I'm just trying to keep the kids I'm just trying to keep the kindergartners who all live in the same neighborhood, whose parents thought it would be cute to let them wear Lee press-on nails. I'm just trying to keep those kindergartners from losing a press-on in their nose or their ear hole. True story. Happened more than once. Like, all the kids went to the dollar store, got press-on nails, and then they would pick their little kindergarten.
Is my nose shiny? But I taught computer lab, and so when they would put those big headphones on, some of the kids, when they went to take them off, they actually caught their earring, and that was so hard to deal with because they're big and bulky, fat headphones, and then trying to get their little ear, and I'm like, it was not a good
there was
thing
a
for me to
bully on our school bus that did that to my sister. She had, now I'll say beanie because I know y'all call it a beanie, we call it a toboggan. She had a little toboggan on her head, my sister did, and it was right It was right after she got her ears pierced, and this kid on the bus, he also
Mm.
smashed my finger. He was a bully. We didn't like him. He
Yeah, what's his
grabbed
name? Let's call him out now because you have a platform. Let's call this guy
Billy.
out.
He was Billy the bully. He was
Billy the
Billy the
bully.
bully. Yeah, yeah. He also hit my sister in the back with a lunchbox, a metal lunchbox, a metal Wonder Woman lunchbox. So
Why
we had
was he carrying a Wonder Woman lunchbox? See,
It was
that's the
her
problem right there.
lunchbox.
That's wait, he took her lunchbox and okay, this is just wrong. Anyway,
Yeah,
so what
yeah.
did Billy do with the toboggan and the earring?
Oh, with
Go
the
ahead.
toboggan, he pulled it off her head, and when he did, the weaving of the toboggan was stuck in her earring, and it like tore her ear. And so like she has to wear she can't wear like an earring you put a back on because it just falls through the hole. She could do gauges, like and that's Bible school Bobby too. Could you imagine my sister with gauges? That would be wicked awesome. That'd be wicked awesome. Anyway, Michele,
How did we go from it's St. Patrick's Day to
we went from,
gauges?
yes, because this is what happens when two comedians, one with full-on attention deficit and another one who I think has had too much of her, I don't know. Did you put an extra one of those happy patches on today, Michele? What happened to the focus?
You got to wear green today, so it's kind of
Yeah.
happy
Well,
patches.
what I was going to say about that is that it would give me a sense of peace because I could just walk in and I knew what color I was going to wear. And I'm like, I love those 2 weeks of school. My husband's like, you could make your own color calendar, right? And you can just you don't have to wait for the kindergarten teachers to tell you what color to wear. So anyway,
Wow.
speaking of teachers, we got one of those dual occupational amazing comedians on our show today. Michele, why don't you tell us who our guest is?
All right. Our guest is the winner of the Clean Comedy Challenge at the legendary Ice House in Pasadena, California. Her Drybar is set to drop soon, and you can see her this summer on the Bored Teachers National Comedy Tour. Let's welcome to Laugh Support, Andrea Caspari!
Yay! Yay! I'm excited. So excited to see my girls, my ladies.
Well, we are so happy that you're here today. Now, Michele, we had this whole thing about your name before. We have Andrea Caspari, but then on here, when people watch us, which you can do that, you can watch us on YouTube and Roku and Vimeo.
That's right.
You'll see that Andrea has Andrea Caspari Spears. Is there a backstory behind that, Andrea?
Yes, it's a crazy backstory. I got married.
That's nuts.
I know. No. Yeah. I still go by Caspari at school. But yeah, I go by Andrea Caspari Spears on Facebook, so everyone knows I'm married.
There it is.
Oh,
It's a good name. Like, it's a good name. You and Michele both have like Caspari. It just sounds cool. And VanDusen is cool. Yeah. Also villain. I use her name as my villain in one of my stories, which is fine because she uses my name as like a dumb blonde in one of her stories. So
well, I only tell the truth. So
yeah.
That's but June, you have a fun name too. I'm always thinking Junebug, and like I think it's a cute name. I think it's fun. I like your name. Your first name's fun. Your last name's fun. Everything's good.
Oh, thank you for making me feel validated with my name.
Yes, you have a good name.
Thank you. Okay, so tell me, we'll get into the career thing in a minute, but the Bored Teachers, first of all, how is it spelled? Is it spelled like bored, like B-O-R-E-D or B-O-A?
It's B-O-R-E-D. And it's the Bored Teachers. It's like this. They're on Facebook, and it's like a whole conglomerate of teachers, of funny teachers, and they do like TikTok videos. And one of the most famous, or like one of their biggest guys, is Devin Siebold. He is a teacher and a comedian, and he just does all of these funny videos. And if I were to like show you his picture, or like if you want to Google him, he does videos, and he has so much, he produces them all the time. He has like his own little studio, and he basically will do funny parodies. Like it'll be like a 2-minute thing, and he pretends he's the principal, and he's like, hello, it's spring break, you know, I know you guys want to leave, but everybody just show a video, or you know, something like, but it's just cute. And all of these people have like TikToks. There's like Gary Brooks, and I mean, it's a huge thing, and I don't know. It's just, it's for teachers to like commiserate.
Yeah.
So-
Gary Brooks is a Kentucky guy. He's
Yes.
from this area or whatever. And
and
so
he's huge, and all of these people on this tour have like millions of hits and YouTube and clicks, because Gary Brooks is on the tour, and Devin and several others, Kid Mac, or I'm not going to say it right. Casey Mac, I think is the guy. And so they have all these different people going on the tour. And I literally just put my first photo on Instagram, right? So they have all these millions of hits and followers and whatever. And I'm still figuring it out. Like, I'm not a social media guru. I mean, I can barely, you know, upload lesson plans. So
yes, I feel that. Michelle, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just wondering, so are you guys actually going on tour? Like you're going to go around the country?
yes.
That
So
sounds really cool.
I know. I'm excited. So Devin is big in this whole world, right? And with the board teachers, he's like part of them. They pay him for different hits and different things that he does, whatever content. Anyway, so he was asked to kind of help create this tour and like star in it and whatever. And so he asked me if I wanted to join one of the legs of it. So they started it this week. They're in Florida, and they're doing several dates. They do improvs and theaters and whatever. And then they're going to do in April, they're going to do kind of like an Eastern Seaboard tour. So they have like Syracuse, New York, Portland, Maine, you know, that kind of thing. And then I'm going to join basically summer. I'm still waiting on my dates, but it's going to be like May through August, different, just all national. So I'm excited, but I'm getting FOMO, that fear of missing out, because they keep posting, you know, like, hey, had a great show, and all these people. And I'm like, you know, and I keep emailing him like, am I still in? And he's like, yes, we'll get you the dates. You know, they're waiting for me to get out of school. Apparently they're going to like intersperse different comedians.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, I love
That
it.
is
I think
so cool.
it is so cool. And I think June, we should start a teacher's aid, you know, tour,
Yeah.
board
Yeah.
tour, you know, or a
Yeah.
retired teacher aid, you know, tour. Because
Disrespected,
apparently-
overlooked teacher aid.
Hey,
you ain't
right?
a real teacher.
No, you're
Who
not.
you talking
Right.
to?
When I worked at Disney, they had the sign. It says, "Oh, you must be this tall to teach here." I'm like, wait, that's not fair.
That's so cute. I think it's funny that you're saying that the teachers' aides are disrespected, because the teachers are too. So we can all just tour together.
Yes.
I don't think it's any different. But I will say,
Teacher
you guys could call it teacher's aid, like we're aiding them.
Yes. No, I worked at a really fantastic school, and I'm not easily like offended. And I worked in special education for 7 years with the most amazing families on the planet, the most amazing SPED team you could possibly want to be around. But there would be
she worked with me.
There would be moments, you know, because we do bounce around. There'd be these moments where, like, you know, you walked in and everybody's got like Shogun, or they, you know, they ordered Mariah's, or they ordered, you know, whatever. And I'm like, I eat food. Remember me? Or it'd be like, you know, for Halloween, we're all dressing up as, you know, whatever. And they're like, oh, we forgot to tell you, June. So they're all like, you know, they're all dressed up as like Scooby-Doo characters. And I'm a pirate, y'all. I'm like, oh, yes, Scooby's chasing the pirate, guys, you know.
I love it. No, I know. And my friend Lesta, for years, she worked in the copy room, and they would forget about her. And, you know, or they would say, hey, we're having, you know, teacher appreciation. Will you watch the phones while we eat pizza? You know, and she was just like, oh. And so I would just walk, like when on teacher appreciation and whatever, you know, or administrative assistant appreciation, I would walk past all of the administrative assistants with a balloon and flowers for the copy room lady. And we're still friends to this day. She retired last year. Good for her. She got out while she could. But so I mean, it's so hard. That's why I hate overlooking. Like, I just try to like make sure everybody feels good. We have a whole committee. It's called TLC, the Tonka Loving Care Committee.
Oh, nice.
So we send flowers, and, you know, I don't know. It's just because we just want everybody to feel good.
Well, that kind of leads us into kind of the vibe of what this, if we figured out at all what this podcast is about. It is about supporting. And that sounds like you're actually a part of a role in, in your career as a teacher and a supporting role of other people. And so we're kind of, we like to talk to comedians about as they began in comedy and your journey through comedy. Michele has always been my laugh support, that person who is there for me and has helped me through. So we're curious, Andrea, in your journey, who has your laugh support been?
Well, I will say that in the last 13 years, my husband has been my greatest support. He is so funny and such a good writer. And I will like run things by him that I've either like written out or, that I'm kind of thinking of. And he will always come up with something even funnier. And we have a whole thing. Nice. So years ago, I was talking about, not that I don't smoke, but I had a cigarette joke. So this is so stupid, right? I just said, if I were cigarettes, I'd be called Virginia Not So Slims. And I never really used it. And I told my husband, and when we were first dating, I said, oh, isn't this funny? I was looking through my journal. And he said, or they just call you Camel Wides. And I was like, oh my gosh. Do you realize I've had this in my journal for like 10 years and I never used it because it just wasn't, but I was like, Camel Wide, that's hilarious. So now this is so funny. This is so silly. Every time he tops me or I top him, like if we say something and we punch it up even better, we say Camel Wide. And that's like giving props. Like we'll do like a fist bump and say Camel Wide, because that means it's even funnier. You took it to another level of funny that we hadn't thought of. Right. So my husband and I, like we, I do write my own stuff. Back in the day when I first started, we would get together and write like with other comics. Before I met my husband, I'd write with other comics and stuff. But now I have all the help at home. So, but we do have an awesome Kansas City group though. Like we have a beautiful scene. So everybody's still friends.
That's great to be in a scene where people are, because not everybody has that experience where, they're in an area where they can write with other comedians and that kind of stuff. So that's a huge blessing. And I love that Michele and I actually just a couple of episodes, maybe.
Yeah.
Ago, or maybe at the very first episode of this season, we talked about that, having that person that has that inside scoop, that Camel Wide. Hers was, tell her what yours was, Michele, with your cousin.
You okay. Don't let the sneaky snake get your root beer.
What?
Don't let the sneaky snake get your root beer. That's like a thing with her and her cousin.
That's
and
cute.
So like when something would happen or whatever, they would do the sneaky snake, right?
Yeah.
And yours is the Camel Wide. And, and it's cool. It's cool to have people in your life that it's like you don't have to explain and they get it, and you can just do that nod to each other and to have somebody on board.
Yeah. Here's a better one that I have with my children. And I'm not even exactly sure how it came about, because I think they had some kind of game that they would play. And I guess the character in the game would say this. So I would say it every so often and they would just start to laugh. And I'm like, oh, this is funny. I'm just going to keep doing it every so often. It's do a barrel roll. I don't know what it means, but it makes them laugh.
I love it. Yeah, there are trigger words that you say and like everybody like just dies, that inside joke kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're in this great scene. Have you always done comedy in that area? Is that where you've always been from, or did you do comedy somewhere else?
You're so precious, sweetie. I still live in the same house I was born in. And this is all the same
your
stuff.
Mouth.
Yes. Yes. You've lived at home too long when your parents move out first.
They're like, look, she ain't leaving, so we're just gonna go. Look, y'all get your stuff. We gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
We may have to do that with our youngest. We literally may have to do that. He's like, why would I ever leave? There's snacks. It's warm. There's, like, I'm not going in.
June, you're making it too comfortable. You need to figure something out and get them. No, I'm just kidding. I
think so. But so you've always been in that area. But has there ever been a time that you did kind of feel alone though with it? Even being surrounded by such a good crowd of other comedians, was there ever a time that you're like, I need somebody to come along with me here?
Well, I will say, okay, so that's a really good point. So I wasn't feeling alone per se, but like in the last few years with the pandemic,
Mm,
I wasn't getting out. We were super cautious. We were staying in. We stayed in for I think it was like 14 months straight, right? I mean, I went to
wow.
school and taught, but we like wore the masks and sprayed down, and I mean, hybrid, so there weren't, it was like a quarter of the kids in the building at a time and the whole thing. We were still on campus and everything. My point is, I was not getting out to comedy clubs, and most of the clubs they were still kind of going, but they were like restrictions. They didn't have like open mics were canceled,
Mm,
because everybody's trying to be cautious. So
Mm.
I knew that I had this dry bar to film last May. I got the contract like last January, right?
mhm.
2021. And they were like, hey, can you come out and film this? And I said, sure. And I picked my date. And our good friend Rhonda Corey, she picked May
Yes.
21st and I picked May 22nd. So then I got to meet you guys in person because you guys came out to see Rhonda. It was
Yeah.
amazing to talk about laugh support. Hello, it's our group, right?
Yes.
So we had so much fun, but I had not been on a stage, right, for 14 months. And here
Mm,
I have to film a special.
Oh,
I mean, that
wow.
was crazy because they say like anytime you're filming something big, like you get out to every open mic and you're
mhm.
doing
Yes.
shows. And
Yes.
Rhonda even did a whole month of shows before that, like just to, wet your beak, right?
Mhm.
Or I don't even know if that's the right thing. But yeah.
It is now. I
Well,
like
it's
it.
St. Patrick's Day,
That'll be
so
our inside thing. From now on, when something happens, I'll be like, wet your
wet your
beak,
beak.
Wet
Andrea.
your
You
beak,
just go
baby.
wet your beak,
Just go
girl.
wet your beak. Look how funny you are. You're wetting your beak. So that's fine.
It
Whatever
sounds
that even
wrong.
means. I did that. So I was very lucky. I know this is ridiculous right now. I'm just silly. But
Wet your beak.
here I am. My very good friend Dustin Kaufman. I started with him 100 years ago in the Kansas City scene. He now owns a comedy club called the Comedy Club of Kansas City, which is so funny. It's called the Comedy Club, right? That was his
Mm.
joke. That's cute. So anyway, so Dustin said I could not film, practice, like run through my whole dry bar at his club, like just do a special show. So I came back out April 28th, 2021 for the first time. I mean, I did a few guest spots. That was it. And then I just ran through that set, and I mean, because it had to be squeaky clean, even cleaner than
Yes.
normal, because it's Dry Bar is filmed in Utah, and everything, you can't even say oh my god, you can say oh my gosh and this and that.
Right.
So anyway, so it was cleaner than even normal, right? Squeaky. And so I went through it and I felt ready, and I
Mhm.
finally, 10 months later, just 3 days ago, I got my rough draft to kind of go through. So now
Yay.
I'm in the editing process.
Yes. Yeah, I had the pleasure of
Fun.
being able to stick around. Michelle had to go. She was on a road trip with her husband, and there were people at the Grand Canyon that needed to hear her comedy, and so she had to
Yep.
rock and roll.
Yes.
But Rhonda and I, whenever I was coming in, she said, "Hey, do you want to stay an extra day?" She found out you were going to be in the next day, and I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I didn't know you. I hadn't met you before or anything like
Yeah.
that. But Michelle, Andrea, and I actually met in the ride share. Was it Daniel? I think his name is Daniel, was our driver.
Daniel. Oh, he hated me.
This is what you need to know, because Michelle drove in, right? Michelle
Yeah.
drove in, and that airport was, I don't know, 487 miles long. I'm pretty sure is how long. It's the longest airport I've ever been to in my life. And I think Daniel was like calling Andrea over and over and
Over.
over. And I
And
kept telling the guy, I'm like,
Wow.
I'm in no hurry. I have nowhere to be. I'm good. I'm good. But no, he apparently had somewhere to be.
he did. He had to be in Provo and
Yes.
take us. He was not mean to me. He was not mean
No,
to me.
no,
But
not at
this
all. He was so
look,
sweet.
my plane landed kind of normally, right? But
Mhm.
I had been told it was kind of a lengthy walk to baggage claim. They literally would have signs that would say 7 more minutes to baggage
Yes.
claim. They had signs, no benches, just signs. And
Yeah.
I had a bad
Wow.
knee. I am not a walker. I'm not a hiker. I'm not a mover. Okay. I don't like any of that. So I actually dared to go to the restroom and charge my phone a little bit. And I thought,
Mhm.
but I'm just going to go down to baggage claim. Look, my father worked for TWA for 43 years. I
Mm.
have flown my entire life. We had never made it to Salt Lake City. So I did not know Like I've literally been running through the Middle East, like, we've been to Israel 20 times. And I've never had this kind of craziness.
Wow.
Like, I mean, I've traveled to Europe. I've traveled all over the world on my dad's pass. Thank you, Daddy. I mean, and he passed away 20 years ago. So, I mean, I miss him, and he was like the funniest Rodney Dangerfield-esque guy.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
The best. But I'm just saying, like, this Salt Lake City airport was crazy. That's all I want to say. And I needed a Sherpa guide to figure it out. And then by the time I got there, all the bags had been picked up. Right. But I didn't know that they had also changed the baggage carousel. So I'm standing at the wrong one. It's literally labeled my flight and everything. And the only people there they were a deaf couple, and they were trying to sign to me, like, go to this one or whatever. And I was like, I was so confused. I had no idea. And then later I heard that they had made an announcement. Why wouldn't you change that? It's just literally a digital, like, hey,
yes.
You made one announcement 20 minutes before I made it to baggage claim. Like, this was a hike. Like, I got miles. My Fitbit popped off. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't. This was the longest trip. You have to bring tennis shoes. You have to bring, like, Gatorade. It
was crazy. I had a heads up. I had a heads up from Haas Ridgway, who filmed with Rhonda. And so he's a rock star. And so he messaged me and he was like, girl, just be prepared. It literally is 1.5 miles from where your plane will land and to where you're going. And he's like, I'm not kidding when I say literally, like people say literally, and it's not literally. It's literally 1.5 miles from where you get off the plane to get to where you're, to where your ride share or whatever will be. And Andrea, being the sweetest person ever, she didn't know me, but she also didn't know when she got to the vehicle.
I didn't know it was you.
Who I was at all. Like, she was just so apologetic. I'm so sorry you had to wait. I'm so sorry, whatever. And when she finally got her breath, I go, are you Andrea? And she goes, I am. And I said, Andrea, I'm June. And she's like, oh, okay, good. So we became best friends. We became
best friends immediately. Yes, because Daniel kept saying, she's waiting. There's someone else waiting. Come on. Daniel was like on the phone, not berating me, but close. Come on, get the lead out. Like, I mean, like a personal trainer. Like, come on, find your luggage, get out. There's a woman waiting. There's a lady waiting. So then when I got on, I didn't know. I didn't know you were coming. Right. So I didn't have any background. So I'm just thinking you're just this lady waiting on my silly butt to get my stuff. Good thing I didn't dare get a Starbucks. Waiting in that line or something. Right. This was me booking it.
Yes. Imagine if it was that angry lady and you're like, sorry, I'll have to wait. I had to get my frappa tappatino. Like,
I know. Right. They had to milk the goat. Like, it's like, oh.
I want to go back for just a minute.
Right.
You said they made one announcement and there was a deaf couple.
I know.
I'm there trying to tell you what to do. How did they hear that? That's all. I'm just stuck on, like, wait, what?
Somebody like kind of directed them. And then I later asked somebody, like, there was somebody walking, and I said, why didn't they change this digitally? It still says that this, it was like carousel 3 and 4 versus 5 and 6. They moved it. And I was like, why didn't they say something? I asked this attendant who was kind of walking, and she's like, they made one announcement. Sorry. But I mean, this deaf couple was really so cute. They were trying to guide me, and I mean, they were so sweet, but I was just like, I just didn't believe them. Right. I'm like, what? No, this, I'm like trying to say, no, I have Southwest, like it was just way too much, And so I'm just telling you that Daniel probably quit. He's probably doing Uber Eats at this point.
Yeah. Well, he did take me. He took me back. He took me back to the airport. But I'm sitting here thinking, like, you're getting ready to do Drybar. You had already had, this moment of like, I got to get on stage. I got to get ready. Right. The anxiety, the excitement's up. You're getting ready to do this thing. And you want things to go smooth and well. You don't want it to start with landing in a chaotic situation with deaf people who managed to hear an announcement you missed, right?
Yes,
and now there's a woman waiting. Like, come on.
The sweetest couple is trying to communicate with me. Yes. And I'm like, my God, and it's just like, it was just not okay. the whole situation. The only thing that made it okay was that you ended up being the lady waiting. So instead of like just this traumatic experience, it was still traumatic, please. But I mean, instead of having this angry woman for this, 25-minute drive or whatever, you were like, yay. And so we just like exchanged all the love,
I
it's
feel
like,
like
yay.
it sounds so romantic. Don't you think, Michelle?
Yes.
June,
Yay!
the lady waiting.
The
That's
lady,
me.
Oh, she's the lady in
is a
waiting.
little different. Yeah. No, I think that right there just explains and describes pretty much all the horrible comedy shows that we've ever gone through,
Yes,
and then
yeah.
finding that one thing that makes it okay. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about doing this podcast with June and having, it being called Laugh Support, because
Yeah.
we get to look and see, okay, in this craziness, where
Mhm.
can I take a moment to breathe? Where can I take a moment to laugh? Where can I
Yeah.
do that? And I love the fact that you're like, and I saw her and she's like, yay.
Yes, I know. Well, I mean,
So-
who knew? Because I thought I was going to have some kind of Karen craziness, right? Excuse me,
Oh,
you knew what
Oh,
time,
yeah,
da, da, da,
yeah.
whatever. Or just, or just that, like, that silence, like that, silent treatment, like for this 30-minute drive, like,
Yeah, yeah,
you made
yeah.
me wait, because it really was like over a 20-minute wait. I mean, or more, right? And so here's June just sitting, but she was so sweet. And then we just, obviously chattered the entire time, getting caught up. And because we had known each other, because June is the winner. She won the year after I did in
Yeah.
Nashville. She's the Queen Comedy
Yeah.
Challenge winner.
And
So
did
there were
Rhonda
two of
win
us.
the year before? Is that how that worked? Like Rhonda was
Yeah, Chicago.
2018, you were 2019, and I was 2020. Like 3 years in a row, they had.
I feel like it was. She might have been. We need to ask her.
Ooh.
I know
Yeah.
for sure. I feel like, because mine was like 2019.
Mhm.
I feel like she really was, because she's the one who got in touch with me after I won. She said, "Girl, milk it. Just
Yes.
she's like, send this out, make
Yeah.
she sent me an example of her not resume, but what is it, the what's it called, for release, immediate release.
Oh, like press release type
Press
stuff?
release,
Yes,
yeah. And she was
yes.
like, get the, use this to your advantage and stuff.
Yeah.
And she came out of nowhere doing that. Like, how
Yeah,
amazing is that?
yeah,
This is what I
yeah.
want to say. Like, when you guys were talking about like laugh support and all this, it is so special to have people like you and Rhonda, and really just my community too. Like in Kansas City, we go to each other's shows, we support
Yes.
each other, we write, we laugh. I have like just this like running list of people that I use for showcases, because
Mhm.
I want to get everybody on, and and if they're not comfortable, performing at a certain place, I put them on in a different one. I just want everybody to like succeed. And I feel like
Yes.
success is really personal. I don't think that it's like, you can do it, not me. I think everybody has their own level and their own
Mhm.
journey. And I think it's so important to help each other, and to bring that camaraderie in comedy, instead of just like, this is, I just don't think it's a zero-sum game. I really think
Yes.
there's room for everyone in their own lane
Yeah, spread the
to win.
success. Spread the
Oh yeah.
success. That's definitely what you're doing. Well, listen, I'll tell you what, Michelle, I'm super excited to find out what it is. There's the quote. There's the quote. Wet your beak, Andrea Caspari Spears. That's
Oh,
the
I'm so glad.
quote.
That's so inspirational.
I
Thank
do
you.
love that. Well,
I
listen, you
love
want
that.
to wet your beak on Andrea's Drybar Comedy Show whenever it comes out, because I am telling you, I got to watch just one of the performances. You get to do two. It was a great show. The first one, they say the second show is always a hot
It
crowd.
was, yeah.
So
The
if it
second show
was
was
even
much
better afterwards, forget about it. I'm telling you, the material, the act outs, you looked beautiful. Like, it was just such a cool experience. What a blessing that I got to be there to see you do your thing, and Haas, and
and Rhonda.
that girl Rhonda Corey that we all love so much. It was really cool.
Rhonda,
And so
Rhonda.
listen, we want to have you back again, Andrea, because we love you so much. We want our listeners for sure to check you out. Andrea Caspari. It's Caspari Spears on Facebook. Caspari Land, Instagram, and Funny Teacher on Twitter. And again, tell us one more time, it's the Board Teachers Tour. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the Board Teachers National Comedy Tour.
National Comedy Tour.
They're out right now. They are out right now. Like I was saying, they're in Florida this month, and then they're going to be on the Eastern Coast, and then they're just spreading it across for everybody. Just everybody can have some comedy. and I'll be joining them at
Sweet.
some point. And I keep asking for my dates because I'm very like I get fixated. I'm like, I need my calendar. I need
Yes.
to know. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Will
but
you
yeah,
I was gonna say, will you post those dates on,
yeah.
like, your Facebook or your funny teacher Twitter account?
For sure. And my friend and I are revamping my website and such. So I'm going to have like a calendar and such. So as soon as that comes out, like as soon as they
Mhm.
like send the contract and I know what dates I'm on or whatever, I will let you guys know.
That'll
I'll
be
Okay.
blast it out.
awesome. That'll be
Woohoo!
awesome. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Final thought is that I love that Andrea, when they did move the things, she had that teacher moment where she was like, excuse me. So first of all, you should have changed it over here because I'm a teacher and we
Yes.
fix things. All right. This is not a complicated situation.
Get out your red
Yes.
pens, people. Let's
Yes.
bring
Yes.
back the red pens.
We should have fixed that. Andrea, it has been absolutely 100% nothing but a blessing to have you on the
Yes.
show. Guys, if you would like to watch our podcast, again, as I said at the top of the show, you can find us on YouTube. You can also find us on the Creative Motion Network, on Roku TV, and on Vimeo. I always say it wrong, Michelle. Is that it?
Vimeo.
Vimeo, on
Vimeo.
Vimeo. And then you can listen to the Laugh Support podcast pretty much anywhere you listen to a podcast.
Mhm.
So, y'all, that's going to be it for us today. As I
Yes.
always say,
I
go ahead.
want to say thank you, June and Michelle. I didn't get a chance to say thank you. I was too busy
Oh, yeah.
talking about myself for 30 minutes, but thank you for having me.
Well, we are happy to have you. And Michelle.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Michelle, pop that quote back up again. I always say at the end of the show, we're reaching here for something for Michelle. You may have fixed this for us. At the end of every show, I have a closer. I say the same thing every time, and Michelle is yet in 40 something episodes to figure out what she wants to say. So I'm going to say, y'all, thanks for listening. I'm June Colson. Don't forget, Jesus and Junebug loves you. And Michelle, any advice for our listeners before we go?
Get out there and wet your beak.
That's it for Laugh Support, y'all.
Oh, so silly.
Thanks for listening. Oh,
I'm laughing so I dropped my computer.
and we're out.
And we're out.